Good morning. My name is Camellia Brown, and I'm a nutrition educator with Awards Evangeline in Rapides Parish. And today I'm going to be doing Facebook Live Series 5, Lesson 2. And what better way to start off National Nutrition Month than to talk about low sodium spice mixes and how we can incorporate that. You can also use this demonstration to incorporate our My Plate Food Challenge that is on the SU Ag Center SNAP-Ed Nutrition page. So, first, I will be sharing with you on how to decrease your sodium consumption. The CDC recommends Americans should take in under 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. But did you know that the average adult American consumes about 3,400 milligrams of sodium a day? So with the sodium intake, you have some concerns. You can have high blood pressure, heart disease, and even strokes. So today I'm going to show you how we can cut them down and make our own. And also remember, it's always better to make your own because you know what ingredients is going into it and what's going into your body. So today I'm going to show you several mixes that you can use. We're going to start off with using occasion seasoning. Occasion seasoning can be substituted for using Creole season, which we know sometimes has a high consumption of sodium. So with our Cajun season, we're going to be using garlic powder. We're going to be using paprika. We're going to be using oregano, our onion powder, our thyme, our sea salt, which our sea salt is always going to be regular than our regular salt, our ground black pepper, and a little bit of cayenne pepper to your taste. Okay, so first you're just going to start with a little container, and we're just going to use our little measuring spoons. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to mix up in our thing, we want to mix up 1 tablespoon of our garlic powder. And the good thing about this is something that you can prepare with your family and your kids. To make them feel a part of it. And we also want to remember when we're preparing these, if we're preparing them for other people, we want to remember that when we're using our measuring spoons for preparing for other people, we want to make sure that they don't have allergy to any of the ingredients that we're using. If they do, then of course we want to use a separate set of spoons, okay? So we put in our 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. We're gonna put in our 1 tablespoon of paprika. Next, we're going to use our oregano, and we're only going to put in 2 teaspoons of oregano. So we want to make sure that when we're going from the measurements that we're paying attention to which measuring spoon we want to use, okay? So that's my 1, and here is my 2nd, and we want to make sure that we're doing level spoons, okay? Then I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of my onion powder. Then I'm going to go to my thyme. And I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of thyme. I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of our sea salt. And then I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of our black pepper. And we want to remember that with our cayenne pepper, that is optional, and how much of the cayenne pepper that you want, you can adjust it. For this recipe, we're going to use 1/4 teaspoon, okay? And I'm just going to take my little spoon and I'm just going to mix it up. And remember, you can also, once you put it in your shaker, you can also shake it up. So I'm going to mix it up. And then you can find these very inexpensive shakers at the dollar store, Walmart, Dollar Tree. They're usually just around $1. And when you think of it, you'll see that most of the ingredients that I'm using to make the spices, that I'm using some of the same ingredients over and over. So think about the benefit of the cost that you're saving by making your own and being able to use some of the same ingredients, okay? And what I would suggest is using a spoon, maybe to spoon it would probably be easier. So you don't make a mess like I just did. So spoon it in. And so then what I would do is take it and I'm going to shake it up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to label this so that I know when I'm getting ready to cook that this is my Cajun mix, okay? And again, think about how much you're saving. And you're also teaching your kids how to use measuring spoons and how to make stuff freshly so that they understand what goes in and out of their body, okay? So the second one that I'm going to share with you is an Italian one. And for our Italian, we're going to use oregano. So I have my oregano. I'm going to use my parsley flakes. I'm going to use my thyme. I'm going to use my basil leaves. I'm going to use my sage. I'm going to use garlic powder. A little bit of sea salt and my ground pepper. And what you'll find with this is that we're only using 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt, okay? So that is taking our consumption down very, very, very low, okay? So for this, I have my little bowl, my container, and then all I'm gonna do is go in and start measuring. Again, when you're doing it, we wanna make sure that we're measuring, making sure that we're using tablespoons and teaspoons correctly in the amount, okay? And also, these recipes will be posted on this Facebook Live in the comments for you, okay? So with our Italian seasoning, we want to start off with 1 tablespoon of our oregano. Then I want to use 1 tablespoon of my parsley. Then I want to use 1 tablespoon of my thyme. Then I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of basil leaves. So I'm going to be changing up my spoon, make sure we're paying attention to that. And then I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of my sage. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of my garlic powder. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of my salt. And remember, we're using sea salt. And then I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of my ground pepper. The same thing, I want to take my container and I want to mix it up. So I'm just going to stir it up. Then I'm going to take my containers. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to spoon it in. So the benefits of these is when I create my own spices, I can determine what spices I think or seasons that I feel like I use more at my house. I don't have to buy a lot of seasoning, that I'm not going to use. I'm going to create my own. Again, that way I know what I'm putting in my body, as well as my kids will understand that. And then I'm also creating less sodium. So I'm also being able to watch my sodium intake when I do this and make myself a better me, because we know with the My Plate, we want ourselves to be a healthier version of ourselves. So these are just small tips that we can do that helps us create that. So again, I challenge you and your family, since it is National Nutrition Month, I challenge you and your family to go to our Facebook page, Southern University Ag Center Nutrition page, and I challenge you to incorporate these low sodium spices into the My Plate challenge that we have going on. And remember, we want our My Plate to look like a rainbow. So what better way to do it besides sprinkling a little fun into our foods, okay? Again, the recipes will be located on the comment section, and I will have 10 posted. If you would like some more, have questions, please contact me on the Facebook post, or you can contact me at Camellia_Brown at SUAgCenter.com, or in a Boyles and Evangeline Parish at the LSU Ag Center listed in the phone book, please. Again, my name is Camellia Brown, and I service a Boyles, Evangeline, and Rapides Parish. Have a wonderful day.